today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at Your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Our guest for today is Rowena Winkler. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Venice. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for joining. I'm great, thank you. So, Dr. Rowena Winkler is a cosmic catalyst, oh my gosh, cosmic catalyst coach and realignment strategist. She helps women ignite their sacred intuition so they can cultivate their true power and purpose. In this interview, we're going to be talking about how astrology can lead to interesting business insights. Through personal and anecdotes and tangible examples, we'll explore how astrology oh my gosh, astrological information can help with client relations, marketing efforts, and business decisions. I'm super excited because we've never talked about astrology on our podcast at all. So I'm super excited to dive in. But before we do that, do you mind telling us a little bit more about your business and your journey?
Sure. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about astrology as well, especially if it's new to your audience and to the folks that listen to this. Yeah, so I started off my career as a professor, actually. I was a professor of public relations, communication. I got my PhD in communication from the University of Maryland in College Park here in the United States in 2013, and I thought that was it, that was my calling, that I was meant to be a teacher, a professor. And I got to my first job, and that was not the case. It just was not what I had anticipated. Higher education in the US, in my opinion, is a bit slow in terms
Mhm.
of innovation, in terms of thinking outside of the box. And as I'm sure you and your viewers will be able to attest, I have a lot of energy and I cannot just stay in one place for a long period of time. I have a lot of interest. I am a true multi hyphenate, so it just got to the point where was feeling that this was not what I had anticipated. This is not the life path for me. And it took a lot to help me realize that there was more that I can give, that I can put my gifts and talents in something else that is bigger than myself, bigger than the academic space. And in addition to that, my father passed away from cancer that first year at my new job. And
I'm
as
so sorry about that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, as I'm sure folks can attest, when they lose someone so close to them, particularly a parent, I was in my late 20s, so I was very young, losing my dad, and it just changed everything. It made
Mhm.
me think very deeply about what my legacy was, what I was doing here, was my health, mental health, physical health worth it? I was so stressed at this job that, Venice, I got kidney stones my first year. I was pretty much crying every night. It just was not working. It just wasn't
Mm.
working. And even though I had invested so much time, energy, resources, right? Getting a
Mhm. Oh,
PhD,
yeah.
not cheap. It's expensive to go through all of this education. I knew that if I didn't walk, if I didn't leave at that moment when all of these things were happening, I would regret it. And so, as difficult as it was, I left. I left the academy and I did not have a plan, which is very much unlike me. I am very like organized. I motivated. I like to have control of things. And so this was a moment where I was like, well, I don't know what's next. But fortunately, my now husband, but at the time, I believe he was my fiance. I don't know. He I moved back to Maryland, and I was able to work at my alma mater at the University of Maryland for a year to figure things out, to see if maybe I'd be more inclined in an administrative role in the academy. Decided no, that wasn't it either.
Mhm.
And then after that, I moved into the marketing communications industry. I worked for an in-house technology, a computer-assisted design company, just doing marketing, communication. I wrote blogs. I moved up to a management role fairly quickly. I had a team of writers. It was great. But then another thing happened, and I got pregnant with my beautiful baby girl. And similar to my dad passing away, it was this huge life moment, milestone. Also, because my husband and I went through in vitro fertilization to have her. So we went through IVF because trying to get pregnant and it wasn't working out. So it was just a very challenging emotional time. And so again, I was in this place where I felt super stressed. I could tell I was not being myself.
Mhm.
It's something didn't feel right. And so again, I went with my intuition. There's the there's the moral of the story, friends. I went with my intuition and my gut, and I moved into this digital marketing agency position where I still am today. So I still do work a 9 to 5 doing marketing for this agency here in Maryland. With COVID, been working from home. And when my daughter was born, that was when I decided to dip my toe in the entrepreneurial space, and I launched my astrology business in 2020.
Mhm.
Then found out toward the end of the year that it's just something wasn't feeling right. I just felt like it was a constant content grind. I was like, this is not what I thought. And so I took a little bit of a hiatus. And then in the new year, I talked to one of my fellow coach friends, and I thought about what another friend had told me, saying, Rowena, all those years of your teaching and mentoring, I could really see you integrating your astrology work into a coaching business. I was like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting. But then I had this thought like, yeah, I love to help people. I mean, that's the reason why I wanted to be a professor in the first place.
Mhm.
I loved teaching students. I still keep in touch with a lot of my students, even today, right? Even though I've been out of the academy for years and years and years, I actually have a meeting with one of my former students next week, right? So, so then I pivoted, I rebranded a bit, I shifted gears a little bit and launched rowenawinkler.com in February 2021. And that business is using the astrology, the teaching, the writing. I'm an artist in terms of theater performance, singing, dancing. So I work with other creatives, women who are feeling similarly stuck or like, I'm not quite sure, helping them, as you mentioned, tap into that intuition, really
Mhm.
trusting that intuition because
Mhm.
everyone has that capacity, everyone has that propensity. It's just a matter of exercising that muscle, like with any other thing, right? Like, you're not going to be jacked if you're not going to be working out every day. So, similarly, just getting in tune with yourself and feeling that alignment. And yeah, so I've been working with several clients and doing astrology readings still. So, if folks aren't interested in just astrology, I mean, just coach and just astrology, I can coach them. If they're interested in coaching without the astrology, it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
that's it in a nutshell.
That's amazing. I love your journey because it really shows that even though there are really tough moments, there are like points, unexpected points where things go completely sideways. They for the better, for the worse, like there's so many things that could happen in your life and you still like strived and you realize, okay, I'm not going to settle for just some crappy job or like just the path that I thought I was going to be on 10 years ago. Instead, I'm going to try my best and strive for something different and work towards my passion and continue changing and adapting until I'm happy, right? And you are obviously very happy right now. And I'm so glad that you got here through all the difficult things that you had to go through. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, do you mind diving a little bit deeper into astrology and tell us exactly what it is and how do we even use it? Because for me, I've never used astrology for my business. So I love to hear how you use it and how you help your clients use astrology for their businesses as well.
Sure, sure. So, astrology. So the astrology that I use to coach and guide my clients and also my business is based on the natal chart. So The natal chart is essentially a snapshot of the heavens the moment you were born. So in order for me to pull up your natal chart, I need the day of birth, the time of birth, and the location, right? So ask your mom, find that birth certificate, get that information. And there's several planets that I look into, which then mean specific things in terms of communication or personality or emotions, that sort of thing, right? So there's things tied to it that they can give some insights on how to move forward with your business. Because like any other tool, I also look into human design or even things like Myers-Briggs, right? These tools that we use to learn more about ourselves so that we can move forward knowing that these are my assets, these are my challenges. So similarly, I use those things to help guide my clients with their business making decisions. So for example, for my own business, in February, I launched my business on a new moon. And
Mhm.
new moons mean new beginnings, fresh starts. Actually, at the time of this recording, we have the new moon in Virgo. So
Ah.
if you're looking into starting a new project or kicking something off, it's a great time to have a fresh slate, to set intentions for what you want to happen in the next several months. So just FYI, friends out there, it's another good time. So that's when I launched my business, was this fresh start new moon. When it comes to astrology, there's what I like to call the trifecta, or the big three, that can help us in terms of next steps. So there's the sun sign, which essentially is the zodiac horoscope, right? So I'm a
Mhm.
Pisces, I'm a Virgo, I'm a Libra. That's the sun sign. That's where the sun was when you were born. And the sun sign is essentially the archetype. So what when you are out in the world, what do people see you as, right? So for me, as a Pisces, creative, sensitive, emotional at times. Pisces are known to be daydreamers, so they're very intuitive, empathic. Because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, we absorb all of the energies of all the other signs. So we're very deep feelers, which is why I really enjoy helping people, because I can get in tune with my clients and help them, sort through their feelings. So that's a sun sign. Do you know what your sun sign is, Venice?
I'm Libra.
A Libra? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you are cutting off for me, friend. Uh-oh.
My sun's sign.
Oh, okay. Your sun sign is Libra? Okay, good. Yeah, so Libra's the scales. Libra. So you have a birthday coming up, don't you?
Okay, I think we're back.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
sorry, yeah, September. So Libra's the scales. Libra is justice. So there's that
Yeah, I
balance.
do.
Libras are also known to be indecisive, just generally.
Mhm. Oh, I am very indecisive.
Yeah, so that's how you are seen about the world. That's how people can see you. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to the zodiac sign and the horoscopes, let's not take it at face value. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm
Mhm.
not a typical XYZ. Yeah, because there are lots of other planets that make up your chart. And so it's very nuanced. So it's not just cut and dry. So anyway, that I'll get off my soapbox there. That's the sun sign. The second part is your moon sign.
Mhm.
So your moon sign is, it's stability, it's security, it's safety, it's where you feel at home. And
Mhm.
when it comes to your moon sign, not many people get to see that side of you.
Mm.
So it's close friends, significant others, family members, children. So that's definitely more intimate. Not everyone gets to see that moon. So for example, my moon sign is in Taurus. So Taurus is very sensual, likes good food and like yummy things, clothes, aesthetics, right? So, I have like my little blanket here that like feels good on my,
Mhm.
so having these beautiful rich things around is a very Taurus aesthetic. That's what makes me feel good. So
Mhm.
I like to have a clean home. I like things to be in place. So when especially during COVID time, right? When I'm home,
Yeah.
it's gotta look nice. So when it comes to the moon sign and your business, find find team members, employees, even clients, maybe those partnerships that align with that. Because what that means is that it's going to be you're going to feel very safe and secure and stable, right? It's not going
Mhm,
to be a volatile partnership. You're going to
mhm.
feel comfortable with people. So, actually my dear friend and acupuncturist is a Taurus,
Oh,
and
okay.
we've done clubhouse rooms together because we're just so in tune and we
Mhm.
work really well together.
That's
Um,
amazing. How
yeah.
do you how so for example, say I'm like, okay, so this is my sun sign, this is my moon sign. How
Mhm.
do I how would you go about finding somebody that's I mean, do you just ask them like what's your sun sign, what's your moon sign? Is that how you kind of establish those business partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I talked to my one of my friends, Lauren Stewart. She owns a PR and media company, and we have no shame. We will ask people, like, can I have your information so I can pull up your? Because it's very important to know who you're working with and who you're going to vibe with, and
Of
even
course.
in the very least maybe the sun sign. So if you don't want to be like, can you give me your birth time, if
Yeah.
that's a little awkward, you can always say, hey, what's your, and sometimes, if you're really good, you can, and when I ask, they'll say, oh, I'm a Sagittarius or whatever. I said, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? So then
Yeah.
you can kind of feel out what people are and what their energy is, and then it's always a fun game to guess
Mm,
and see. But
mhm.
yeah, I mean, it really is, it depends on how comfortable you are. But for someone like me and my colleagues who study and use this stuff in our day to day, it's just a no brainer. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yep.
So how has knowing your own sun sign and moon, you talked about it a little bit already, but how has knowing your moon sign and sun sign helped you with your business insights and your marketing efforts? And you obviously started your new business when you obviously understand that it's the right time for you, but how do you even make your day-to-day decisions, or do you or you don't?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I launched my business on a new moon, and with the moon, the moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days. And
Oh,
so
okay.
based on the energy of the sign and where the moon is with that sign, that can help with how you plan your day to day. And so, for example, Gemini is the sign of communication. It's Mercury, right? So on days where the moon is in Gemini, maybe I want to do a speaking engagement. Maybe I want to do an IG live, that sort of thing. Whereas, let's say that the moon is in Cancer. Cancer is a very sensitive, nurturing, maternal sign. So maybe that's a day that I want to engage really deeply with my clients, or I want to do some more introspective journaling, right? So using the energy of the moon in terms of what signs it in can help. And also I am an, as I mentioned, an empath, because I'm that Pisces. I just have a lot of I have a lot of I absorb a lot in terms of
Mhm,
energy. And so I actually just had a call with my own coach a couple weeks ago about how to do time management, because right now, in 2021, it's like, and especially here, I'm, in the US East Coast, it's very like hustle, like blah, 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 blah. And I can't roll like that. So it's just planning out blocks in accordance with what sign things are in, and also in accordance to how my energy is feeling, right?
mhm,
So being structured to a certain extent, but also being open and flexible, so that
mhm,
I can kind of feel into what makes sense for me for the day. Because if
mhm.
I'm overloaded, it's not going to end well. If that
Yeah,
makes
absolutely. I mean, if an entrepreneur that's listening right now is thinking, okay, I want to start using astrology for my business. I want to start understanding how to, like use it to my advantage. What is the first step that you think they should start with?
Yeah, so I'm going to tie this into the third piece of the astrology because I think that this will be a great example of it, which is
Mhm.
your rising sign, also called the
Mm.
ascendant. So this is another piece of your astrological chart that's the first impression. That's when people first meet you. How
Mhm.
do people see you? And I think that's, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that's going to really dictate how you're going to be received by your audiences. So that can tie into branding, marketing, your aesthetic, right? So for example, my rising sign is in Capricorn, which is the goat. So Capricorns are very ambitious. They see things. They make great leaders because they see the big picture of things. And so I use that rising sign to answer your question, to show others like, hey, these are some ways that you can integrate these tools to your day to day, not only for your business, but also for your personal life as well. So, I mentioned business partners, but also my life partner, right?
Yeah.
That helps as well because what's going on in the home does bleed into your business. And so I would just, I mean, if anything, start with those three because that gives you, the sun sign is the what, like what you are in your archetype. The the rising sign is the how, right? So what is that expression? And the moon sign is the why. It's like what makes you feel
Mhm.
your best self.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, it's essentially a blueprint, a roadmap to
Yeah,
yeah, to
absolutely. Thank you so much. And
yeah.
speaking of which, now that it's like a good transition into the next point, which is your freebie. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about your freebie with us?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I work with women who are feeling, as I mentioned when I talked about my own story, feeling stuck, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like something's not right, but I'm not quite sure what's next. So I have this archetype, the Inner Muse archetype quiz that you can take totally free on my website, rowenawinkler.com. And when you take that, you will get a persona, an archetype in terms of what you may need to work on, what you're feeling in terms of your life path right now. And when you get that, you'll receive a PDF document with questions that can prompt you to answer questions, some astrological insights as well, and a mantra. And then also includes a link for you to schedule a quick 20-minute call with me if you want to go through that and, even ask about the astrology stuff too.
Perfect. Sounds so good. And where can people find you online as well?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, my website is rowenawinkler.com. And then if you're on Instagram, my handle is rbwinkler, PhD.
Perfect. And for those of you that are listening, you absolutely have to connect because Rowena is amazing. As you can see, she knows a lot of things that I didn't know, and it could definitely help you with your business. So if you're interested in checking out what she has to offer and what she's doing, definitely go and hit her up. Thank you again so much for being on your Entrepreneur Resources show. I love all the different things that you've shared, especially as according to astrology. I have no idea. So I'm like mind blown a little bit at the moment. So thank you so much for sharing. For entrepreneur that's listening right now, in case you want to get a summary of the interview, make sure to check out our show notes, which I'll link in the description box. We've got our live interviews here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone for tuning in.